Okay, I'm going to start recording here, just because of, you know, how funny that video, picture is. In this particular video, what we're going to do is we're going to go through securing a switch. A while back, you were given instructions on how to secure a router. It's very similar. A lot of the instructions are the same. I will put them onto the Canvas page once I've uploaded this video and made the page and put them underneath and blah blah blah. But in the meantime, this is just as quick as I possibly can, going through and doing it. Where am I? Okay. So you've got a switch. You've just bought a switch. You've got your laptop. Pardon me. Before you actually do anything, you're going to use your console cable, connect it to your serial port on your laptop to the console port, log in. So we've got onto our desktop, we're going using our terminal software. Let's put that half and half. Excuse me. And there we go. So we're in, we do all the things. So we're in, you know, the start and basic mode, which name is escaping me. We can go into executable mode by typing enable, and then configuration mode by typing config T, and so on and so forth. Control Z will get me back to enable. Again, lots of different things that we can do here. Even if I exit out of this part and press question mark, it will give me the list of commands that I can actually do here. So even from this part here, you could ping another device if it was connected. In order to be able to ping something, obviously your switch needs an IP address, which is something I'm going to show you how to do. Telnet into another device, just like you would with all the other things. Basic commands that you can do in command prompt on your computer, other than disable, turn and off privileged commands and so on. But I digress. So we're going to enable. Again, if I press question mark even there, we've got a load of commands we can do. If I don't sound super enthusiastic, I've just got back from Grimsby. I'm tired. So a lot of other things we can do. We can set clock, config T, obviously, configure terminal, connect to another connection, and so on and so forth. In here there might be some, so reload is basically to reset the switch, so reboot it. There's some setup where you can go through the commands. You can SSH and Telnet again into another device, trace route, so on, and then configure VLAN stuff, which, you know, we've done in the past. But what we want to do is config T to get into the actual configuration of, conf T even. Oh, I don't. Oh, about yeah. Okay. Just wipe that so we can pretend that I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. So now at this point we can do some actual configuration of the things. So for example, this, let's pretend that we've got multiple switches, you know, like some people might do for an assignment or whatever. Let's say that this is my core switch or my VTP server or whatever you like. I'm going to want to name it something, and because it is my main switch, I might want to just call it, I don't know, something like that, so I know it is my main number one switch. And obviously I can stick a label on it. If you pretend that this is a sticky label, we can just change the name on it. So if I do that, then if I have other switches, I know which switch I'm dealing with. So if I had a SW2, could name that in the config, in the CLI, in the terminal, or whatever, the same thing. Now again, I'm working on this laptop, but I'm telling, no I'm not, I'm through the console port, which we will look at, so your line, console, and so on and so forth. Excuse me. One of the things that you're definitely going to want to do in particular particular HMD people, is secure the switches, which is what this is all about. HNC, I'm not so bothered about that as I am for the HND people because of the unit, but it would be nice to see either way. But HND, there's lots of reasons, lots of different things you can do, or a few different things that I'm going to show you, how to configure some security on your switches, and reasons why. So for example, if somebody gets into your cabinet and just connects a console port, at the moment they can do whatever they want if they've got all the commands. We've got no passwords. So the first thing that we might want to do is enable a password, but instead of a password, this one obviously, we would want to use a secret, and we've talked about this when we were securing our router. The reason that we want to secure, we want to use secret is because passwords saves the password in plain text. So anybody that is, packet sniffing or anything like that, they can potentially see what the password might be. However, secret saves the password in using a hash. So we've got, do we want, we can either configure different levels, so unencrypted, encrypted. It's encrypted by default. We don't actually have to do anything here. I just press question mark. Not for me, because I've never really looked at this part. But we just want to give it a password. So enable secret. For us, I'm just going to go with student, because you are my students and I am teaching you. So enable secret student. Boom. That's it. We're done. Now if I do show running config, and we go all the way to the tip of the top, it says we've got a secret at 5. So remember when I did the thing, it says encrypted files. So we've got a secret in 5, and then the encrypted secret, and that's the hash of the student. So you can see it takes up a bit more storage than just the word student, but whatever. In here we can also see that no telnet is configured. Console and telnet and SSH, they're usually configured by default, to be honest. But we're going to go through the whole process of enabling them anyways, just because we can. So while we're in config mode, we could do a banner, so a message of the day sort of thing. We don't need to do that. Because we're going to be running some network protocols for telnet or SSH and whatnot, we might want to do the link there, data protocol command, just to be on the safe side. And then for telnet, you don't need to do this next bit. But for SSH, which again is the more secure way of doing things, we definitely want to do this. So I'm going to start with IP domain lookup, and all that's saying is that we're basically just looking for a domain. I want to give it the IP domain name, and I'm just going to call it, was it ECC? Yeah, let's just do ECC.com, should we? Let's do Penrith.com, because it's in Penrith, it's not, I can't remember. Anyways, it doesn't matter, we'll put something here. It has to be a domain name though, because when logging in it's going to be sw1.penrith.com, because this is the domain, this is the host. It works, isn't it? Okay, so we've got our domain. The other reason that we do this is because when we're creating our SSH crypto keys, it actually uses the domain as part of the hashing. When we do the crypto key stuff, we select how many bits we use, and it uses penrith.com as to create that hash. But you don't need to worry about them like that side of things. Just know that that's what's happening. Yeah. Anyways, now let's say that on your network you're going to have a DNS server. It might be handy to have it. Let's IP name server. Yeah, IP name server. Then we're just going to give an IP address. Now I'm just going to use Class C IP addresses just because they're easier for me. Let's say that I'm going to use just the full class, so you know, subnet of 255.255.255.0 or a CIDR of 24 or whatever, means that I'm going to use my very last IP address that's available, which would be 192.168.1.254 for my gateway, my router, which I don't have at the minute. And then I'm going to go backwards from that for everything else that I need. So I'm going to put 253 for my name server. When I give the switch an IP address, which you need to do, we'll see. I'll probably just use 252 for that. Okay, so we've configured that part, and there's different ways again that we can do this. We can log in just using basic the basic secret. Well, not log in, sorry, we wouldn't log in. For Telnet you don't need to log in with an account. You can just create a password, and once you've just telnetted into the IP address, it'll ask for that password. However, for SSH you need a username, or you need a user account even, which has to be stored on every single switch. You can use a AAA server for that. For the sake of this though, because I kind of just want you mostly to demonstrate things on one switch. Your core switch would be the more secure one, because that's the one that you're going to configure mostly. And then the rest, I want you to just put security on the console port, which in all honesty is just that secret at the start. But again, we can go through this. What was I going to say? Okay, so I've done the server stuff. I just need to create a username. I'm going to call it Baz. It's short and easy. I'm going to give myself privilege. Can't spell just like that. No, it's not. There's no D's there. Can't spell. Privilege 15. All the ones in a nibble. Basically, what that means is that I am admin, and then I need to give myself a password. It's 7. We'll try 7. I might have to change that to 0, but we'll see what happens. And that password, I'm just going to use Cisco because it's space there, because it's easy for me. Right, valid encrypted, so I'm going to change that back to 0, and then yeah, we'll leave it at 0 for now. I'll have to look into why that doesn't work. It didn't work for me the other day either. Okay, and then we need to set our, so from here we can do crypto key. So we want to generate new keys, because again this is the security. This is when when you're connecting to a web server or something like that, you have that HTTPS, you're using some sort of security key to de-encrypt the information once it's been sent to you and whatnot. Excuse me. So we're going to use RSA, and then it'll tell us that we can just press enter, I think. And then it's saying how many bits would you like to use. Now 512 is the minimum. Let's make it super secure by using a whole 1024. And it's done. Harder. Okay. So far what we've done is we've configured the configured a basic password to be able to get into privilege mode. Sorry. So that enable. Once we type EN, it'll ask for a password which we set as student. We've set the domain to penrith.com, I think. We've set a name server, which we haven't actually configured one, but it's good to have it there because when you do create a DNS server and whatnot. Anyways, we've created a user account on this switch. Again, if it was just you that was doing it, you could just, create that user account and then put it on all the other ones. But for the sake of, if there was more than you and if it was a big organisation with lots and lots of different switches, then you would possibly use a radius or a AAA. I can't remember what the AAA stands for though, so you'll have to Google it. Server, and I'll show you that very quickly. Put a server on under services, that one there. So your client name, client IP, what the secret is, type of service. You can just leave it as radius, but then you just create your users. So this information here is the same as the information that we've already put in. This information here is the username and password, basically. But I digress. We don't want you. Go there. Okay, going back to our switch. We've got. So it's telling us SSH 2 has been enabled. You haven't even had to do anything. But anyways, let's do some SSH configuration. So again, some commands that we can do with IP. So we'll look at access lists, gateways, DHCP stuff, DNS stuff. We'll want SSH because we want to configure SSH options. The authentication retries, so how many retries you get before it, locks you out, or not locks you out, kicks you out. So if we put, I'm just going to tab that because I can't put it, and then it'll just ask for a number. We'll go with 3, nice number. And then IP, SSH, what was the other commands? We've got timeout. So do we want to set a timeout? Why not? Let's do it. How many seconds? Let's do 120, so 2 minutes before it times out, so it's the maximum number of time. And then IP version is the other one, I think. Oh, SSH, sorry. What was it here? Oops. Yeah, so IP SSH version here. What number we want to use. And we can set it to both. 1, 2. Oh, doing actually type version. Silly Barry. IP version protocol. Oh, right, 1 or 2. So we would set this 2, but it's already set as 2. We did it there. That's me trying to remember stuff. Okay, so again we've configured our user accounts, we've configured our SSH details. Again, we're using SSH because the difference between SSH and Telnet is that SSH encrypts all the data that is going back and forth, whereas Telnet sends everything, including passwords, in plain text. So this is why we would prefer to use SSH. And it is like, industry standards and whatnot. So another thing that we might want to do, so line console 0, because we've only got the one console port, if you like. This is where we can set just a basic password. So press question mark, excuse me, keep burping. We can create a class list, access class list. Again, we can go through some information about time and out, message of the day, and then a password there. And again, this is just like when you're trying to log in, instead of just being able to do it straight away. This is probably what you're going to do on your other switches. So if I just put password and then it's just saying whether or not you want to hide password or whatever. So I'm just going to put password again, Cisco. So I've set the password as Cisco. So there we go. That's the console port done. Now we can have people log in using those accounts, the account that we created, the Baz and the Cisco, I think is the password that we used. We can do that here, or we could just leave it and it would just basically ask for the password when we go to try and enable or go into privilege mode. It would ask for the passwords that we've already set up. Once again, making it more secure and all the rest of it. We'll probably want to get it to log in using the details that we've created. So we can do login local and it'll do it off the details that we created on the switch already, the username, password. If we had the server, then we would, tell it to log in using details from the server. If we just type login, question mark, you can see. So we've got, where we are, local. So it's going to do a password check and so workload. And then just asking for an enter. There we go. Why not? So exec timeout, set exec timeout. So let's do that. Why not? And in minutes. So again, you can set as much time as you want. So how many minutes? If we set it as 00, it will not time us out. So it's minutes and seconds. And then the other thing that we want to do, so logging, synchronized message output. So what that does is any messages that you get while you're typing things, it will wait until you're done and then put the message after that thing, or it will basically put what you've been writing underneath it, if that makes sense. So those of you who've ever played with this, where you get a message halfway through you typing something, this should hopefully fix that. It also, when you're running reports and whatnot, if it tries to show you a command halfway through that report, it will wait until you've run the report and then show whatever it's trying to tell you below it. Excuse me. But that's console configured now. So what we can do now is we can exit out of that, and then we're going to go into line VTY. So this is your virtual terminal something. Can't remember what the Y stands for now. And we want 0, 15. So all the connections, because you can only have up to 16 connections, 0 to 15. You know what I mean? We can set the password. Oops. Again, it's going to use Cisco. So it's the same as what we did for the console connection. So again, the console connections have been on the back of the switch. This is for actually using some sort of terminal software, look like we're using now, or using the command prompt, which we will use in a second, to telnet or SSH, basically remotely access it. So set a password, we're going to set the login local again, and we are going to set the exact timeout as 00 again, so it will not time out, and we want logging synchronous, so it doesn't do the stuff. And then the transport, so a question mark on this bit, because we're in the virtual line, configuration commands. We're all a lot of the similar stuff, but then we've got this bit here, transport, define transport protocols. So I just type input or output, well it's input because it's the input going into the switch. So, and then it's telling us which do we want. Do we want all protocols or do we want SSH or Telnet? So it's using TCP/IP. You all know what that model is. We're using secure shell. We're using Telnet. Again, Telnet does not secure or does not encrypt the information going over the internet or over the connection. Sorry, so anybody listening in can see what's being sent. So we're going to say SSH. We don't want. I could type none and then do SSH. I think by default Telnet is set. You do all if you wanted to use both. But the downside of that is that we've got one account for each of them. So somebody could just attempt to use Telnet. And Telnet might still work, to be honest. We can test that and see what happens. And I'm going to save it just in case something horrible goes wrong. Control Z, and that'll just take me back to privilege mode. If I do show run, which is a current run configuration, it will show us all of the things that we've configured. So we've named it for our secret for logging in to to privilege mode. We're using SSH. We've set a domain name and server. We've set a user account. We could have several user accounts. Well, I'm only using one because there's only me. We haven't done anything with spanning tree, it's just on switch. This bit is going to be important in a second. So for console, we've got a password of Cisco, and then we log in with the username password count here, and then same again when we Telnet or SSH in. What? No, when we SSH in, we haven't got Telnet configured. Good. Okay, so config T again. Right. Try and make this as quick as I can because it's already half an hour long. Shit the bed. For you to be able to remotely log in with the router, it was the IP address of the interface that the rest of the network was using as the default gateway. With a switch, you can set IP addresses on the interfaces, but you wouldn't do that. What you would do is you would configure. What you would do is you would configure VLAN 1, or you would configure the interface for VLAN, the virtual interface for whatever VLAN you are using on that switch. So for example, if that switch is configured with entirely VLAN 10, or all the interfaces are configured on VLAN 10, then you would configure the interface for VLAN 10 as the IP address to gain access to the system. I'll explain what that means in a second. One of the things that we need to do though, we haven't got a router on, but if we did have a router, we would need to set, because if people, usually you wouldn't, a lot of organisations don't have people on site anymore, so you wouldn't SSH in from within your network, you would do it from outside of the network to be able to see if you can fix things, because you know, time and money and whatnot. For that, the switch needs to be able to access the internet and, you know, get information back and forth from it. So all you do is you set the default gateway. You don't need to put the IP address in on the side of it because it's going to be within your network, which you will set when you set your IP address for the interface in a second. So just like you do with your PCs and all the rest of it, you set your default gateway so that it knows how to get out onto the internet, or you know, onto the other networks or whatever. Because we haven't configured any other VLANs, and again for your assignment, you might just do this on your core switch, but probably do it on the same VLAN, or configure the same VLAN as your IT department, your support department. I can't remember which VLAN that is. Really can't. So if for example it was 30, you would just do interface for 30. Because you're using VTP, I think you'll get away with it all. Yeah, because I'm not, we're just going to do VLAN 1 because it's the default VLAN. So I'm configuring the interface for VLAN 1, and it's just the same as you do for the interface on your router. It's IP address, IP address, and then 192.168.1. And again, I'm going backwards, so I did 254 for the default gateway, 253 for the DNS, so I'll do 252 for this particular switch. What you would have is like some sort of topology, like printed out, saying what the network was. You would have maybe a list of your IP addresses for the different switches or whatever. You would just know. You can have a system for what it is. And then we're going to set it as no shut, because obviously we need to turn that interface on. So now that interface is turned on, and again you should go out and do the copy run start, but you can also do WR and it does the same thing. Just to demonstrate, if I hover over that, down at the bottom, a lot of yous will have had that VLAN 1 on there, but you'll have never added up, and you'll have never added with an IP address. That's all that I've done. So that that basically means that I should be able to gain access from another device. If I go onto this one, I'm just going to give it a 192.168.1.1, the first PC. Again, don't need to do that because I don't have a default gateway, and I don't really need to do that because I don't have a DNS server on either, but whatever. That's configured, it's got an IP address. Let's quickly connect it, fast Ethernet to fast Ethernet. Oh, look at that, it's telling me that it's gone up. Fast forward a little second, go to command prompt, just quickly IP config to make sure that it can see it. And then for SSH, don't forget, it'll tell us what we actually need to do. So SSH -L, logging in, and then it's just my username as, and the target is 192.168.1.252. Press enter, hopefully that will work. It's asking for my password. Cisco. Now I'm into privilege mode already. If I type config T and go in and do all the things. Now it didn't ask for any further information because again I am an admin. That's what I configured that user account as. But yeah, so now I'm in there, I can go in and configure things on this one as well. It's dangerous to do it from both places, so I'm just going to close here, but it's there. And I can do the same on this one as well. I'm actually going to quickly set this one to 168.1.2. This will make sense soon, I promise. Okay. So this is what this is for. I'm just going to exit out of the VLAN interface. We've done that now. I'm just going to quickly do the UI again just to make sure it's saved. Clear the screen. Right. Actually, I'm going to stop here and then I'm going to go back in and then explain the next part.